Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Hey, we got a Thursday going on here, and I wanted to get on just for a few minutes. Y'all know how we do. Hello, everybody. Yes, there's two pair of glasses. Y'all will get it. Um, when you get old and your vision, okay, well, I ain't old, but when your vision do something. So we got a lunchtime edition today on this Thursday. And today we want to talk about change management. I wanted to get on, and I'm trying to find a not so sunny place, but wanted to talk about change management. One, because it's one thing that I've been trained in. You know, I've gotten specific workshops and training, and part of my master's degree was specializing in change management. The reason why it's so important is because a lot of times I wanted to come on here and talk about it, because a lot of times we misunderstand the process of change management and what happens with it. And so I thought, you know what, let me do this. So I came in this morning, and I was in my office, and I was a little warm. You know, I had my cup of tea and everything, but I was hot. And I said, wow, it's hot in here. So I had to figure out, like, what we gonna do? You know, I don't got no fan. I got a heater if I'm cold. I don't have a fan if I get hot. And then I was reminded, you know, one of the benefits of having my own office, director, I got all this different stuff in there, but I get to change my own temperature. Meaning it's a personalized thermostat in my office that when I'm cold, I turn it up. When I'm hot, I turn it down. And it responds. And then I thought about that because I left the office. I was like, ooh, it's so hot. And I turned it down. Remember, you know, the air came on. And then when the air came on, I came back and I was like, ooh, this is comfortable. Left for another meeting about an hour and a half later. And I was like, oh, wait, it's cold. Turn that, that thermostat back up. Then it was a reminder for me that many of us forget that we get to change the things in our life. Now, certain things that it's not an easy change. You know, when we got health issues, and when that weight won't come off, or when that doctor keep trying to tell you stuff that you're not trying to listen to, sometimes it becomes a difficulty. But when you understand that you are not affected by the temperature, but you literally are the controller of the thermostat in your own life, then you get the opportunity to really think about what are the things that you want to do, what are the things that you want to affect, what are the things that you want to focus on and change. So one of the things I learned from one of my previous vice presidents, he used to say, what gets measured gets done. And so if you're not measuring it, if you're not keeping track of it, if you're not doing it every day, you're not creating a habit that's going to create the change that you want. But then the other thing with change management is that I have to remember that there are a lot of people who sometimes when I come into a room, I may seem, what's the word? Sometimes they just don't know that I could be nice, and that might be my fault. But a lot of times when you are looking to change a process and you're looking for change management, a lot of people have never had the opportunity, to know what steps it takes when it comes to change management. So first, with change management, you got to select what things you're looking to change. You got to say, okay, I want to change, how much time it takes me to do something. Then you got to evaluate the process that you currently use. During that time, you got to break away from what your current thought and mindset is when it comes to, well, this needs to be done this way, or I can only do it one way. You got to be flexible with your thought to say there may be a better way to do it. So maybe, you know, you only think, well, I'm going to work and I'm not making enough money, and if they don't give me a raise, I'm not going to be able to survive. Well, guess what? You can figure out a side hustle. You know, somebody might call the police, but this is where we from. We figure out what it is. Do we need to sell something? Maybe you got to get some things and put it on let it go. Let somebody pay you for what you believe is now junk or no longer has the same value to you. But you get to understand and change your mindset in the sense of, I don't have to stay where I am. Change management, the first part of that step is to take responsibility to say you've chosen a goal and you're going to be dedicated to that goal. As you've chosen a goal that you said, I want to be dedicated to, you understand the fact that even in the midst of the things that you're thinking about in your own mind, I hope y'all can see me. It's sunny out here, Father. Woo, yes, child. North Carolina, there's sun everywhere. You want to be dedicated to knowing what the change is that you want to have happen. You don't know how it's going to happen. Maybe you got a good idea of the resources that you're going to need. You got a good idea of how long it's going to take. But maybe you don't know how much money it's going to take you. Maybe you don't know how much time management needs to go into it. And sometimes, I'm guilty of that, where I think a project will only take, a couple of days, and then come to find out this thing going to take forever. It's a lot that comes with the process. But when we think about change management, the first thing is to make a declaration, make a decision on what it is you want to change. And then you got to go after it and figure out what's that current process. Maybe you're writing it down. Maybe it's a journal. But you take stock in the fact of, where am I today and where do I want to be? So now you've selected what you want to change. You've written down what you believe the process is, or at least taking an assessment for what the process is. And then sometimes it's a trial and error. You think, I want to do this because I think that that's going to give the impact that I'm looking for. And then you get down that path and you're like, wait a minute, this is a lot of work and I'm not really getting the return that I thought I would. It's okay though. That doesn't have to be considered a failure in change management, because you should have learned a new skill or a new way to do something. And with that knowledge comes greater opportunity. So again, change management, it starts in your mind first. It starts about what you think about things. It starts about you being the director of your own life. So what changes you want to make, you got to say, yeah, I could do that. I could do that. I love it because my dad and my daughter used to always do that. And he would be like, Pootie, that's what he called her, you need to do so and so and so. And she would tell him, Poppy, I could do that. I could do that. And then you see somebody else. I know my friend Kilo is that way. He'd be like, okay, let me YouTube this, or let me watch somebody do it. Next thing you know, he's going to be opening a business doing it. So understand that, what? I could do that. I have that same thing in me. Sometimes it's like, oh, let me sit over here and see. They say imitation is the best flattery. But if I see you doing something and I think I could do it, now look, I done told y'all last week, we're not messing with the bees, and I clearly am not a painter, but there are other things administratively. What do I say? I can do that. And so I go forth and do those things. But for the things that you can't do, when it comes to the change management, it then requires for you to take an assessment of what additional resources are you going to need. Who do you need to connect to your team to make sure that cop a win? Now, I know some of y'all don't know what that means. It means that you put a W in the W sign and not an L. So if you're looking to cop a win, that means that, sometimes we got to take that mindset by any means necessary. By any means necessary doesn't mean so much to the fact of you're going to do something crazy to get more money, or you're going to do something crazy to obtain success. But what it means is you're going to be disciplined within yourself to say that when obstacles come up, you're not going to let them stop you. When obstacles arise, you're going to shift your thinking, you're going to shift your resources and try to make the best of what it is that you have. Why? Because there's an end goal that you already set. You've already said, this is the thing that I want to do. Shout out to my folks who maybe 20 years ago, you thought that living your life was an impossible thing, that the things in your life just were not what they needed to be. And you couldn't see past the resource of, the struggle. Oh my goodness, the rent needs to be paid, or they about to repossess my car, or I don't have a car and nor do I have a bus pass. I got feet and 3 miles to get to work. Whatever those obstacles were, we made it. We 20 years into a lot of the things that we did. So I say 20 years in because 25, Lord, I was goofy. Maybe some of you, that's not your testimony, but I was goofy at 25. So I see certain of these young people today, and I had to remind myself, we weren't all that bright when we were their age. So sometimes we've got to extend to them the grace that had been extended to us, that somebody loved us enough to say, you know what, come here. Let me impart some wisdom to you. And then it's our turn. So 20 years later, we know better than we knew before. And now it's our turn. Now it's our turn to say, hey, look, you want to succeed in business, you got to be flexible. If you get stuck on the people who you work with, if you get stuck on the circles that you're in, sometimes we get mad because our circles change. I love it because I had, Facebook, they always bring up your memories. And one of my memories that I shared, I think a year or a few years ago, was the real Kim. She's down in, I believe, Georgia, I think close to Atlanta. And what it said is, you're not in a storm, you're just in transition. So let's think about that. You're not in a storm, because we love to be like, oh my goodness, I'm in a storm. Trials and tribulations, whatever it is. Maybe that's just my church folk. I know some of y'all non-religious folks are that way as well. It's like, if another thing happens, then guess what? You will have the strength to endure it. But when we realize that there's a difference between us being in a storm and us, isn't it beautiful? I know. The difference between us being in a storm and us being in a transition is usually the transition we signed up for. We said we wanted a change. The storm means it's unexpected. We weren't prepared for it at particular times, or, we got caught out there, as we used to say. I got caught out there. But usually with the transition, it means that you've intentionally said, I want to see a change in this particular part of my life. And that transition then comes because, if you go to the gym, it's not always going to be a pleasant experience, but you'll get the opportunity, to see some slimming down. If you save some money, you'll get to see the bank account increase. If you do things differently in your life, like literally, if you share more love with people, chances are, as you're sharing love, you're going to receive more of it. So that's one of those things that multiplies. When you share love with people and you good to others, a lot of us, we think, oh my goodness, nothing good ever happens to me. Well, guess what? With your mouth during your transition, you've now canceled whatever blessings you thought were going to come your way. I love it because this morning I was doing a devotion and I just was led to pray for being thankful for the lack. Being thankful for the lack. And so really just being thankful for the times when you didn't have enough money, being thankful for the time when the job wasn't enough, being thankful for the time when you didn't have enough of something. Maybe it was food, maybe not enough for the kids. Y'all sending y'all kids back to school and y'all think they need to wear everything new. Look, if last year's clothes fit, you better put them clothes on them kids and send them out the door. Wash them and put something nice streak on it or something like that. Yeah, tie-dye them sneakers, something. I know I spoke to somebody on that one. Don't spend all your money sending them to school, because then you give them the wrong mindset of what they're going there for. They're going there to learn. They're going there to expand their minds, not a fashion show. But I know I'm probably talking, crazy to some of the parents. We didn't always have it that my kids could have brand new, but we never celebrated the clothes. We celebrated the fact that they got an opportunity to elevate to another level and be able to learn different things that they didn't have before. So in that change management, understand that everybody's standards won't fit you. They're not going to fit you, and be okay with that. That just because it worked for the 3 people down the hall, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to work for you. But you don't have to disqualify your effort, because your change is important too. The efforts that you make are important too. And when you understand the impact that you have, not just for a masses, but literally you get to change you first. And then, as I said, you thinking 20 years down the line, when you realize you change the kids, you change your parents' mind of thinking, because they thought, oh my goodness, somebody with that degree never gonna, do anything. And now you award-winning professors and whatnot. Yes, I said it. Shout out to my girl that comes on here. Okay, Cashy. Yes, because when she started, it was a passion to teach acting, theater, to keep hip-hop alive, to keep what she had in her alive. And now, literally across universities, because she's doing it more than just in her own backyard, people are impacted by what she was taught all those many years ago. And now her alma mater, she's giving back to and expanding the lives of people in a miraculous way. Shout out to my homeboy, Dr. John McKnight, doctor, because, and I call them out whether they on here or not, because they're significant to my life, but you got people who are significant to yours. Those people who let you know that it doesn't matter if the odds are against you. It doesn't matter where you came from. It doesn't matter what your zip code was before. It matters that you survived what those things were. Some of y'all wouldn't have made You wouldn't have made it. You wouldn't have made it if you had to endure what I needed to endure, where people had to leave you and questions of, your own personal identity. And some of you have experienced that, and you on the other side of that. Big up to that. Understand that, we know that it's not everybody's testimony to be able to send their kids off to college. Like some of y'all kids in a different college. I really can't speak on that because that's not my experience. But I'm sure not going to apologize because I sent mine. So like that bigness that you feel in yourself and that pride that you know that this is an opportunity that is not afforded to everybody. Some of our kids are so privileged and entitled. They believe that everybody goes to college. They believe that. But then if it's the testimony for your kid. You know, I got a friend whose child is taking some time off to pursue some other aspirations. You know, first thought in my mind is like, well, is he gonna go back to school? What you doing? That's not my testimony. He is looking to impact the world in a different way that doesn't follow my script. And so it doesn't mean that he's right. He gets to be great in the world with that. And so we want to be mindful of how we support our young people. There is not one way. I sent all of my kids to college, I tell y'all often, but then some of them stayed. Not all of them. Some of them stayed. Some of them stayed and got degrees. The other ones of them stayed and they got certificates and all kinds of stuff. As long as they could feed themselves, you know, that was the goal. I'm not feeding you. Whatever it is, understand that when you think of that, the whole thing I came on here for, to talk about the change management, you have the ability to change the things in your life. Stop, get off that seat of complaining, talking about what you don't have. Use what you got to get what you need. Not even get what you want. Use what you got to get what you need. And what you need is opportunity. What you need is what? Look, Eminem put it, I only got one shot. I can't miss this. And so if you think of life in that particular sense, hopefully it inspires you. One thing that I mentioned in my devotion this morning, and it was that I remember my mom, and she had met a lady, and she was like 80 years old, and it's an old church lady, and y'all, any of y'all who in church, y'all already know them old church ladies. Look, they will hurt your feeling and give you candy. Usually the old ones got peppermints and butterscotch. That's how you know if they real saints. If they ain't got no peppermint and butterscotch, look, they just got on the scene. I said it, but my mom used to say, I can't wait to get that age. Why? Because when you meet women and men of a certain age, look, you don't ever have to worry about what they're thinking, because they're going to tell you. And they're going to tell you because most of their mindset is, the next big thing I got to think about is I'm about to meet Jesus. I'm going to meet Jesus, and that's the next big thing that's going to go on in my life. And so they live their lives usually not holding on to things in the same way. They let things go a lot more quicker. Why? Because they don't want nothing that's going to make them go to the grave more quickly. They're like, you know what? After 80 years, if that didn't matter all those years, it's not going to matter now. If my sister don't like the way that I make mac and cheese, oh well, then she just ain't gonna like it. If we take on that mindset, imagine at 15, at 25, at 35, at 45, at 55, at 65, to say, what's the next big thing that I need to do? What do I need to do before I meet Jesus? Like literally making it that simple. What do I want my impact on the world to be after I'm gone? So if you think, you got nothing left to give the world, or you can't share your talents with a way that will impact the world in a significant way, change your mind and think on, what big thing do I want to do before I meet Jesus? Like, it's so simple when you think of it, just changing your mind. Well, I want my kids to be able to be, sustain themselves in life, or I want to pay off this house. I want to do some things. There's something to say about longevity. And I say that because I'll probably talk to you more about this process of daddy selling his house. Ooh, child. But daddy is selling his house. And the thing is this, the house is paid for. So whatever, I can't tell all his business, but they've been in the house for 30 plus years. And so for 30 plus years, daddy was paying mortgage and he's like, I don't know when this thing gonna end. And, they take out second mortgages and all that other stuff. But now there's no mortgage. Now, because he lives in New Jersey and y'all ain't right with y'all taxes, he might as well be paying mortgage. That's a whole nother story. But that longevity allowed him to get to the point of, I no longer have a mortgage to pay to keep a roof over my head. It's a whole bunch of stuff with that when we think about the little impact that we're able to make, but the longevity that goes on with it. Such is the same as I originally said with the change management. You start with a change, and then you get to the next step, and the next step, and the next step. And when you finally realize that you're on the other side, you know what happens that's the most impactful? It's not so much just that the process has changed, it's that you have. You've changed your mind, you've changed your thoughts, you changed the way you live, you changed the way that you do things, you've changed. So if you're expecting things around you to change, odds are you're doing it wrong. Make the inventory in your life. See the things that you need to manage and change. As I mentioned, I'm trained in this. I'm trained on how to do it. And sometimes, I get kind of slapped on the hand because I'll be like, just stop. Like, if you're doing it wrong, just stop. Look, it's bugs out here. Y'all know I don't really like the bugs out here, but the flowers is beautiful. And I know that's a different mindset for everybody. If it's hurting you, don't do it anymore. If it's causing detriment to your family, to your life, figure out another way to get it done. And I know that sounds easy for me because I'm over here, and you might be like, well, Karen, you don't know all that I put into that. Yeah, but how much will you lose if you stay there? How much will you lose if you don't say, you know what, I had enough is enough? I don't give relationship advice often because y'all crazy and y'all don't listen, and neither do I. So I just be like, oh, God bless you. Yeah, oh. And I don't give married folks advice. Why? Because I'm not married, so that ain't my corner. But if you want to know how to act, single, I'm her. It is what it is. I don't really answer to people. Will I one day? Yeah, the Lord will work that out. But till then, I can't tell you what to do with your husband. Why? Because I ain't got one. It's that simple. Do I have opinions? Yes, but I'm disciplined to keep them to myself because y'all are listening to advice from a single woman and find yourself dealing with challenges that you wasn't ready for. I've been trained on how to be a wife, but I've also walked through change management on how to live a single life, no matter, and be content wherever I am. So if he acting right, we happy. If he ain't acting right, well, one of us happy. That's all I can say for that. It's a lunchtime edition. Hopefully you get something from this. Change management. Make yourself flexible with your life. Forgive yourself for the things that happened yesterday. Why? Because one thing is for sure, you can't change it. You can't change it. So ask for forgiveness from the people you need to, but first forgive yourself. Make sure you understand the reasons why you said yes to the things that are currently in your life. And if you don't know what the reasons are, evaluate them again. You get to change and be a better version of yourself every day. I'm better than I was yesterday. I'm better than I was this morning. Why? Because I made a conscious effort that as I decide what things I want to change, as I decide what things I want to be different in my life, I get to understand I'm the one that controls the thermostat. I'm the one that controls what comes in and out my life. And I'm okay with that. And if you're not okay with that, figure out what exercise you need to be. Look, we grown. We may not be 70, 75, 95, but we grown. And so if we living a life and we not living our lives as grown people, you got to check yourself. Answer, you answer to God. We answer to people in some aspect, whether it's a husband, a spouse, a boss. We answer to somebody. So while we're answering to people, make sure that the answer that we're giving is one that we're comfortable with. And if we're uncomfortable, change the situation. Change what your mind is saying to you. Lunchtime edition. Love y'all. Now I got to go find me some food and some water because it's hot out here. I think that's sweat right there. Y'all already know I'm going back into my air-conditioned office because it's nice and chilly in there right now. So love y'all tremendously. Have a great day. Share if you've been blessed by anything you hear. See you soon.